When Xiaomi launched the Redmi Note 5 Pro earlier this year, the major emphasis was on the camera performance, as this was one area where mid-ranges traditionally fell short of higher priced devices. The Note 6 Pro is here now, earlier than we expected, and it banks on the same strengths of promising a best-in-class camera performance along with tried and tested hardware. Does that, however, ensure sales numbers as good as the Note 5 Pro? Is it a warranted upgrade? We'll answer that for you before you make the purchase, coming up next on TechPP.com. Hey guys, this is Sumukh from TechPP, and before we jump into the specifics of India's Naya Note, why don't you hit that subscribe button if you like what you see, and that bell icon as well so that we can keep reappearing in your notification drawer. Let's take some notes now, shall we? Let's begin with the cameras, as that's one of the major highlights. As I said earlier, the Note 6 Pro promises improved camera hardware, and while that is true, the dual 12 plus 5 megapixel setup on the rear with an f/1.9 aperture is the exact same module found on the Redmi Note 5 AI, which was launched in China earlier this year. The pixel size is a respectable 1.4 micron meter, and the support for dual pixel autofocus and 32 different scene detection modes through AI. Pictures shot with the Note 6 Pro turn out great with ample detail and excellent dynamic range. There's a built-in AI mode which boosts up saturation levels to make the colors pop out, and while it's not as aggressive as Honor's or Huawei's implementation, it's subtle enough to make the picture look pleasing to the eye. Under artificial lighting as well, the Note 6 Pro holds its own and manages to capture some good pictures thanks to the wide aperture. We did have some issues focusing on closer objects under artificial lighting, but this will hopefully be fixed through a software update. The image quality does take a hit in extremely low lit conditions, but given the price, the performance is not too shabby. You know what, just check out our dedicated camera review to know more about granular details about pictures shot in various conditions. All you selfie lovers, there's good news for you too. Almost everything I said about the rear cameras can be said about the dual 20 plus 2 megapixel shooters too. Selfies are sharp without the beautification of course, which I disabled as soon as I started testing the cameras, and the additional depth sensor does help with blurring during portrait mode, which also works surprisingly well even under artificial lighting. There are some portrait lighting effects as well to go along if you wish to play around with some editing. That was a lot of raving about the cameras, right? Let's now address the elephant in the room. The Note 6 Pro comes with the same Snapdragon 636 chipset as found on the Note 5 Pro, and it's the second time Xiaomi has pulled off something like this. The regular Note 5 launched earlier this year had the same Snapdragon 625 SoC as the Redmi Note 4 from last year, and as they say, history does repeat itself. While this is not necessarily a bad thing, as the 636 by no means is a weak chipset, but competitors are offering the same chip at a lower price or even a better chip in some cases like the Realme 2 Pro, which sports an undeniably better Snapdragon 660 SoC. The performance, however, as expected, checks all the right boxes, and MIUI 10 is as feature-rich as you would want it to be. However, I would have liked to see Android Pie out of the box instead of Android 8.1 Oreo. Moving on, the display on the Note 6 Pro is a mixed bag. The 6.26-inch Full HD Plus IPS panel with Corning Gorilla Glass protection and a notch has good color reproduction and viewing angles, but the issue that I as well as multiple users experienced on the Poco F1 makes its way onto the Note 6 Pro as well. Backlight bleed. Now, Xiaomi did give an explanation for the Poco F1 saying it's a phenomenon called edge light dispersion and it's not really an issue, but take that with a grain of salt. It's not that distracting once you get over it, but yes, it is visible, and if you're like me, it might trigger your OCD. Let's now talk about the build of the Note 6 Pro. Xiaomi has stuck to the same design language ever since the Redmi Note 3, and they've been following it up every year with just subtle variations. The Note 6 Pro, for example, resembles the Note 5 Pro in most aspects with regards to how it is built, except for some added curves to make it easier to grip, which also makes it look thinner than it actually is. We have the black color variant here, which looks similar to the Redmi Note 5 Pro or the Mi A2. Thankfully, there are other color options like rose gold, blue and red. For the first time on a Redmi device, Xiaomi has added a special P2i nano coating for splash resistance, but that does not mean you can take the Note 6 Pro out in the rain or into a pool, but it's always nice to have some accidental protection. The IR blaster is retained up top and the headphone jack has been moved next to it, something which I don't really prefer when compared to a bottom placement, but hey, at least it's there. That brings me to the final pillar if we have to go by MKBHD's 5 pillars of an ideal smartphone: battery life. The Redmi Note series, especially since the Note 3, has been a battery monster, and the Note 6 Pro's 4000 mAh unit doesn't let the battery prowess of the Note lineup down. I could easily get through an entire day with upwards of 6 to 7 hours of screen on time on mobile data, so if you use Wi-Fi more often, you can expect even better metrics. However, the absence of quick charge hits back as you need over 2 hours to juice up the Note 6 Pro to its full capacity. Technically, it supports Qualcomm Quick Charge 3.0, but the wall charger in the box is still 10 watts. My suggestion is to go buy the QC 3.0 charger available on me.com for Rs 449, link to which is in the description below. And not to forget, Xiaomi is still keeping the good old micro USB port, which can be a con depending on the accessories you currently use and how much you care about reversibility or future proofing. At the time of shooting this video, we are not really sure how much the Redmi Note 6 Pro will retail for in India, but going by past trends, we expect Xiaomi to price the base 4 plus 64GB variant around the Rs 15,000 mark, while the 6 plus 64GB model is expected to sell for Rs 17,000. Coming back to the initial question, is it a warranted upgrade? If you already own a Redmi Note 5 Pro, there is no reason you should be upgrading to the Note 6 Pro unless you really want that notch display and marginally better cameras. What if you're looking for a new smartphone? Should you consider the new Redmi Note? If you asked me this question a couple of years back, I would have said yes without a second thought. However, the online space in which Xiaomi wants to toil with unbeatable specs and aggressive pricing is slowly being encroached upon now by brands like Asus, Honor and Realme, who might just give Xiaomi a run for their money. The Realme 2 Pro has a significantly better chip and a display with a teardrop notch, and then there is the Honor 8X with a beautiful design and capable cameras, which make it slightly harder to recommend the Note 6 Pro. More so since we expect Xiaomi to continue selling the Redmi Note 5 Pro, which now starts at Rs 14,000, and then there is the Mi A2 with stock Android and better low light cameras starting at Rs 16,000. In simple terms, the Note 6 Pro isn't an outright choice like the earlier Notes used to be at launch. What do you think about the Note 6 Pro? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and oh yeah, stay tuned for a massive blind test camera comparison with other devices in this segment coming your way real soon. So until then, may the tech be with you.